In this lesson, we're going to be using the Stair tool in 3D Max to model a custom helix staircase. You can also call it a spiral stair if you like. Now, just to give you a brief design understanding of what we'd like to create and why we're going to be creating it the way we do, is the staircase is quite a prominent feature in this house. It does have a whole building dedicated to it, a whole tower, if you will, which is basically linking the whole house. It is kind of on the crosshairs of the entire building, and this is done for a reason, is that it's going to be quite a strong feature within the house. It's going to be the first thing that you see as you walk in, and directly underneath it you have this reflecting water pond that the whole staircase is floating above, and then behind the staircases you have this huge glass window, and behind that you have your long pool, which is going to have this infinity edge, and you're going to have the sea view directly behind that. So the staircase is pretty important, and for that reason I would like to make all of the treads and the structure as sleek and as transparent as possible. So what I think would be quite a nice solution for that is to have a purely glass threaded staircase with a very nice chrome edge to it and a very simple handrail as well to go along. So keeping all of that in mind, let's go ahead and start modeling up our staircase. Now, first thing I'm going to do is turn off all of the unnecessary layers, and I'm rather going to turn on the ground floor plan, in other words the CAD layer for the ground floor, and I'm going to select that together with the slab for the upper and lower level. So for that reason I waited until now to do it, because you can actually see the upper level and it's easier to understand how the staircase is working and if the actual height is correct. So what we're going to do now is, in our plan view, you can go down within your object list and you can just choose stairs and then go and choose spiral stair. Once you have your spiral stair selected, you can activate your snaps, and it's a good idea if you're doing a helix or spiral stair like this is to have a center point marker, which is the one that I added here in AutoCAD, and I'm going to just click on that center point, drag out towards the outside of the stair, and now drag to set the height, and then click just to finish it off. Now if we have a look at what we've created in 3D, you basically can see that it doesn't look anything like a staircase, but you already do have some of the basic parameters that you can set up, and that is what we're going to do right now. So the first thing we're going to do, let's just untick some of these so we can start this off fresh, is basically first you want to choose what your overall height is. Now you can read that off your CAD plans or you can calculate it now quickly. Our building happens to be 3.8 meters floor to floor, so I'm going to type that in and I'm going to pin that figure down so that we can't change the overall height, since the height of our upper floor won't actually change. So it's a good idea to pin that into place, and then you can then just change the amount of treads that you have, and that will automatically calculate your riser height. So what you want to do now is you want to look at the top view and you want to start configuring the rest. Just before we do move into that top view portion, let's also have a look at the direction of the stairs. Our stairs show us, at least from the CAD plans, that the bottom is here where the circle is and the top of the stairs is where this arrow is pointing to. So we need to actually flip that stair around, so let's just change the layout here. And now you'll see the stairs going in the right direction. And next what you want to do is you can set the width of it. So if it's not already correct, I've already been fiddling with some of these dimensions, so they are already correct in on my side, but you will need to set them up custom for your own model, and that's going to be around 1.3 meters. I know that it may be slightly off, but I'm not too worried about the exact size right now. I just want to go through the whole process so that you get an idea of what we are working with. Next, I'm going to be turning the stairs so that the beginning of the stair lines up with the beginning of what the CAD plans are showing us. And you can also turn off your angle snap toggle so that you can just very finely adjust that to get it completely as close as possible as you can. Next, you can increase and decrease the revolutions. In our case, it's going to be roughly 7.2 or so. 7.17 actually looked quite good. And once it is lining up visually at least, then you can set your number of risers. Ours is going to be 22 risers, and you can then just do one last check to make sure that your stairs are looking correct. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to choose how these stairs are supported, in other words, the structure of it. The options that they give us is either we can have a solid stair, a boxed stair, or we can choose a structural support, for example, a stringer on the side or a carriage running down the middle. I think for our case, the nicest and the neatest option will be to have two stringers on either side, which are going to be in chrome, and then a nice glass tread which is supported in between the two. So once you choose all of these options that you can tick, you can slide down to the bottom and you can set those parameters for yourself. I've already gone and edited some of these values. So basically the depth is 0.25 meters, which just covers enough of the treads so that the treads themselves don't stick out. Now, when it comes to handrailing, you have the simplest options of selecting your inside and outside handrail, and that will automatically pop in either a square or a round handrail. There will be some other parameters for you to choose and use, but the option that I like to use are these custom rail paths. So once you have both of those selected, you can then go and do a lot more to those. For example, you could go and sweep them now by adding a sweep modifier, and you could add a custom profile for yourself if that is something that you want to do in your design. You could basically do anything you want now that you have this form generated for you. So this is quite a complex shape. Trying to do this custom would take a long time to get that curvature, especially in the Z dimension, neat and tidy. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to take these rails and I'm going to move them downwards, and I'm just going to try to align it with the structure as closely as possible. Over here I can see that it is offset slightly in, so I'm just going to do the very quick shortcut method of just scaling it outwards slightly. If you do want to do it more precisely, you can offset it. I'm just going to do the fast simple method so that I can show you the workflow rather. So this rail now is going to be something that we can create a custom handrailing to, and we're going to do that by going down into our AEC extended objects. You can click on railing and then pick railing path. Then it will automatically generate a handrail for you, which is, I think, a much more powerful option than the one that is included within the stair option themselves. So when you have that, you have quite a long list of options that you can choose from. So I think it's good for you to just go through this yourself and choose what type of posts you want, what type of handrail you want. The basic choices are between round and square, and then you can choose the dimensions or the radius of those objects. The main thing that I want to show you is that when you have your fencing, for example, you can go and choose the amount of objects that you have. For example, if I choose posts, you have the post spacing that you can activate by clicking this icon, and you can basically choose the amount of verticals that you have on your staircase. This, I think, is a really nice, powerful option, since you can go in and out and you can basically edit those to be more or less, and you can choose the sizes of them down here. So if you want to have a 2 centimeter by 2 centimeter post, you can choose to do that. Let's say ours can be square, and our top handrail can have a few more segments to make it nice and smooth, and that will pretty much finish our staircase. So you can do exactly the same thing to the other path rail, or the rail path, and once you're done with that, we can then texture it, and the texturing is something we'll do much later in this course once we are finished. So you'll see as well that this is right now one object. You can either texture it together by adding multi-sub-object material IDs and all of that. The easier way would be to also just detach these objects for the treads and then to just texture them individually. So all of that will be done in the texturing section of this course. So what we've done, just to recap, is we've generated a custom stair, and we have then gone and looked at a custom handrail as well, just to give us a full control over the entire form that we're working with. And you'll also see, for example, just as a last tiny note, is that as the staircase comes up into the slab is actually notched in this area. So that is something that we can do by going down into the editable spline and I will just do it here in a few seconds quickly, is to right click, refine, and then just add those points that you want to refine to. So first of all, your outside points and then your internal points, and then just set up that shape that you want to basically refine to. You can add a center point, which you can then right click and make it a Bezier curve, and then you can just stretch that out until you eventually get that exact outline according to your CAD plans. So that is pretty much it. We've completed our staircase and we've also now finished the lesson. What we're going to do in the next lesson is we're going to continue working on the upper level, and we're going to build more of the walls, and then we're going to continue finishing off the rest of the building thereafter. So hang around for the rest of the course. I hope you will enjoy it.